diplomacy with Iran. Trita, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, let's compare Rouhani, Ahmadinejad. What's the biggest difference, style or substance?
Well, so far, clearly the style is very, very different. You did not see any harsh rhetoric or any desire or gratitude in provoking the world with his statements. But at the same time, we don't know for certain until he actually gets a chance to start implementing his policies. But we do know one thing. In the past, when he was the negotiator, that is the time when the Iranians actually did negotiate with the Europeans, got an agreement. Rouhani was the negotiator when the Iranians agreed to suspend their enrichment activities voluntarily, and they did so for 20 months. And according to the French ambassador to Iran at the time, François Nicolot, he credits Rouhani for being the person convincing Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, of ending the military dimensions of the program that existed up until that point.
And we know that there was a tense relationship between Ahmadinejad and the Ayatollahs. What is the relationship between this cleric considered moderate and the supreme leader and other Ayatollahs?
Rouhani has been described in some places as a reformist. I think it's more accurate to say that he's a centrist. And as a result, he has pretty good relationships with most elements of the Iranian political establishment. And he seems to have a very good relationship with the supreme leader. I don't think he was the supreme leader's favorite pick for the presidency, but that's where the Iranian people imposed their will on the supreme leader, and he had no choice but to accept it. But I think they understand on the Iranian side that in order to be able to have any effective negotiations, the Iranians needs to essentially speak with one voice and make sure that the tensions that existed between the supreme leader and the president and the rest of the population, the parliament, etc., need to really be tempered in order to have real negotiations.
All right, well, that's sort of, I guess, the hope. We'll see if it indeed plays out. One of the things Rouhani said today is ready to start, quote, serious and substantive talks on the nuclear issue. Serious and substantive. I mean, should we believe that this is going to happen under his leadership, do you think?
We have to test it. It's not an issue of believing or not believing. We have to test it. We will not know for certain until real diplomacy is given a chance to be able to see if Rouhani is as serious as he says that he is, and whether he has the ability to deliver. And incidentally, the Iranians are asking themselves the exact same questions of the United States. They're asking the question as to whether President Obama, has the ability to deliver at the negotiating table on the type of sanctions relief that probably would be necessary to get a deal, mindful of the fact that most of these sanctions go through Congress, and Obama's relationship with Congress is not particularly good.
And now Western countries have a one-track mind when it comes to Iran. All they think about is nuclear, nuclear, nuclear. But Iran, maybe Iranians, I should say, have more sort of closer to home issues and concerns, right? I mean, the economy is a mess.
The economy is in a mess. You have a human rights situation in Iran that is quite deplorable. And Rouhani himself campaigned on the idea of breaking the security atmosphere, as he called it, inside the country. And I personally think that it's a shame that in the negotiations and in the general approach towards Iran, we have reduced Iran to one issue. In fact, we view Iran as a nuclear program with a country rather than a country that has a nuclear program, but also a whole set of other issues that need to be addressed.
Right. And very quickly, regionally, Iran has sided firmly with Bashar al-Assad of Syria. It's taking sides. It supports Hezbollah. Could anything change with Rouhani or not?
I actually think there is a small possibility that it could change, because what Rouhani did back in the 1990s is that he spearheaded the rapprochement between Saudi Arabia and Iran and ended up having pretty constructive relations between the two countries during the Khatami years. I think that is exactly what is needed in order to get a breakthrough in Syria, because what is happening in Syria increasingly is now a proxy war between Saudi Arabia and Iran. And unless the Iranians and the Saudis can get on some sort of a functioning conversation between them, I fear that the Syrian people are going to continue to pay with their blood for a fight that is actually between these two larger regional powers.
Trita Parsi, appreciate your time. The president of the National Iranian American Council and author of A Single Roll of the Dice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, next door to